University employees are laid off, 2 shootings in Oklahoma, plus a groundbreaking prescription drug is approved. This is OU Nightly. Hello, thanks for joining us for OU Nightly. I'm Madeline Roberts.
And I'm Sydney Forsee. We begin tonight with breaking news: layoffs at the University of Oklahoma. The Office of the President sent an email to OU faculty and staff stating 50 staff members were notified today that their jobs had been eliminated. We reached out to the Office of Public Affairs to ask about the layoffs. In a statement, the office told us that staff positions eliminated are mostly in areas of landscaping, with a smaller number of groups from other parts of the university.
The layoffs are part of an effort by President Jim Gallagly to reduce OU's budget by over $20 million.
And a deadly Halloween night across Oklahoma as shootings in 2 parts of the state take at least 1 life.
Police say shots rang out at a Halloween party near the Oklahoma City Farmers Market, where 3 people were shot. Officers say 150 people were inside when a fight broke out. 3 victims have non-life-threatening injuries. Police are still searching for the shooter.
And near Tulsa, detectives are investigating another shooting that killed an 18-year-old boy and injured 2 teenage girls in Okmulgee County. Deputies have arrested a woman they say is the mother of the 3 teens. 38-year-old Amy Hall was arrested for first-degree murder and shooting with intent to kill. The teens attended Beggs High School.
We're 5 days from Election Day, but some Oklahomans are already casting their ballots. OU Nightly's Kyle Payne shows us how you can vote early.
While Election Day isn't until Tuesday, Norman voters showed up at the Cleveland County Election Board to get their voices heard early.
Early voting kicked off this morning, and Norman residents showed up in full force. For Norman residents, they have 2 options as to where they can place their ballots, both the Cleveland County Election Board and the More Norman Technology Center. They are open 8 to 6 today and tomorrow, and 9 to 2 on Saturday. For many early voters, it's about convenience, but many people are just ready to cast their ballots.
Even though their tallies don't come up any faster or anything, they are excited. They feel like, okay, I've done it. I've heard, my voice has been heard because I just voted.
Based on the elections over the summer and the high number of ballots sent in through the mail, they are expecting big numbers at the polls this year.
We're not in the habit of predicting. I mean, we can just look back at our numbers from the primary and the runoff primary, and those numbers exceeded all previous years.
For people voting early or on Tuesday, be sure to show up as early as possible with a valid ID and some patience, as lines are going to be long wherever you go vote. Kyle Payne, OU Nightly.
Early voting runs 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. today and Friday and Saturday from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m.
And we continue early voting coverage with Abby Green live at the election board. Abby?
Early voting is still going strong here at the Cleveland County Election Board. With the election quickly approaching, voters are eager to exercise their right to vote. Every vote counts, and candidates are hoping for a good turnout from the younger generations. It's common across college campuses for students not to vote. Candidates running for office are not only focused on their campaigns, but also empowering young voters.
I'm committed to preparing the leaders that will be involved in 25 years. And so I thought that it was really critical to get anybody that could talk to a voter in an intelligent way, which goes all the way down to 14, 15.
Boren used people like her intern Hannah, who you saw in the video, to help empower young people to vote. If you're registered to vote in Oklahoma, you can vote at your local election board for early voting or your assigned polling place on Tuesday. Back to you.
Thank you, Abby.
We had a bit of a rainy day yesterday and even some into this morning, Sydney.
But the rain has stopped and it's a little bit sunny outside. And Nash Rhodes is here with more on this week's weather. Nash?
That's right, guys. This morning we had a few scattered showers and even some storms move through. They have mainly exited to the eastern part of our state. Here in Norman, we only got a drizzle, but we did see a decent amount of accumulation off to our east, especially up in Miami, a little over ½ inch, as well as down in Idabel. We do have rainfall in the forecast, though. I'll have those updates coming right up, as well as temperature swings and even a weekend forecast. Back to you two at the desk.
Thanks, Nash. And later on OU Nightly, a Norman group comes together to honor the fallen within their community.
plus raising awareness for a common medical emergency. Welcome back. Voters young and old can agree on one thing. Education is an important part of this upcoming election.
And that's why the race for Oklahoma State Superintendent of Public Instruction is taking center stage. OU Nightly's Taitum Wilson joins us live with one of the candidates for that race.
I'm joined by one of the people appearing on the ballot, Joy Hoffmeister. She's the Republican candidate and the current state school superintendent. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Taitum.
So just a few days away from the election,
Yes.
What are you focusing on in this final stretch?
Well, we're focusing on keeping education front and center and a top priority for Oklahomans, and we believe it should remain a top priority, not just in an election year, but every single year.
And the Board of Education approved your budget request for fiscal year 2020, and it was actually over $440 million more than the current fiscal year. What are you hoping to see achieved with that budget increase?
Well, these are dollars earmarked for the classroom. We also have embedded in that request a proposal for a school counselor corps. $58 million to invest in these very important professionals that can provide needs for our kids with guidance counseling, but also for many students who have endured trauma or adverse childhood experiences, and we know that Oklahoma ranks among the highest of any state with children that have suffered in this way.
And you were first elected to this office in 2014. What is different this time around?
I think what's different is before, when we stepped in, we were talking about a lot of needs and there had been a lot of disruption. Now there's unity. We are speaking in education as one voice, demanding that we have competitive pay for teachers, that we address a teacher shortage that has only deepened, and that we are meeting the needs of kids, knowing that our dollars that we are operating with are the same as 2008, but we have grown by 53,000 more kids. So we're tackling that, and teachers have really brought the stories of the children in their classroom, and we want to amplify that message and demand what is required for a strong, well-rounded public education for all kids.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today. That's all the time we have. So back to you guys in the studio.
Thank you, Taitum. And the suspect in the synagogue shooting appeared in court for the second time today. But first, Nightly's Mariah Conduff has the latest on changes to the U.S. asylum process. Mariah?
President Trump sparks a major controversy after the release of his new campaign ad and limitations for asylum seekers. Trump's latest ad campaign features a Mexican immigrant who was convicted for the murder of 2 California sheriffs in 2014. The ad not only accuses Democrats of letting in criminals, but many critics believe the ad to be a racist scare tactic. Trump has also announced changes in asylum rules. The new rules will require migrants to request asylum at legal entry points, which will prevent them from claiming asylum if they are caught crossing the border illegally. Google employees around the world staged protests for improved sexual harassment policies.
There's a walkout from some members of staff, and we're walking out in support of those who've been harassed anywhere in the workplace, and to ensure that perpetrators are not rewarded and are not protected.
The walkout sparked 1 week after a New York Times investigation revealed that in recent years, Google handed multi-million-dollar exit packages to male executives accused of sexual misconduct as they kept quiet during the allegations. The Pittsburgh shooting suspect pleaded not guilty to federal charges and requested to have a jury trial. A federal grand jury indicted 46-year-old Robert Bowers on 44 federal charges in relation to last week's synagogue shooting that left 11 people dead. Of the 44 charges, 32 counts are punishable by death. Bowers is being detained without bond. Today also marked the beginning of the many funerals for the shooting victims. Madeline, I know you have more on how OU honored the victims of the synagogue shooting.
And yes, here in Norman, members of the Jewish community gathered together to pay tribute to lost lives. OU Hillel and the Schusterman Center hosted a vigil today amidst the aftermath of the shooting in Pittsburgh. 11 Jewish people were killed at the Tree of Life synagogue, and 4 members of law enforcement were also injured. The shooting hits home for many across the country, leaving some weary of future attacks.
The very group that he was seeking to target. And so it is concerning, but we do trust our law enforcement officials and we do trust the security that we put in place in our building, and we're hopeful. The last thing that we need to do, though, is pull back. This is a time to be more proud of our Jewishness, a time to be more proud of our heritage.
School officials will be available to talk to students when needed.
And a controversial drug has finally been approved after years of debate. Tori King gives us the latest details on the drug and who it can benefit. Tori?
For the first time, the FDA has approved a prescription drug made from cannabis. This new drug is called Epidiolex. Patients who suffer from seizure-related syndromes or certain types of epilepsy are eligible to use it. This pill reduces seizures by 26% and is a twice-daily oral solution that can be taken by patients 2 years old and older. After taking more than 5 years to get this drug approved, the CBD-based drug hits the shelves today. While costly and only available through prescription, most insurance plans are expected to cover it. And earlier this week, the medical community held World Stroke Day. This campaign brings awareness to the 80 million who have experienced a stroke in their lifetime. This day also recognizes more than 50 million stroke survivors who live with some type of permanent disability as a result of the stroke. 3 main signs of a stroke include facial weakness, arm weakness, and slurred speech. If you notice any of these symptoms, call 911 immediately. And with Halloween over, spooky season might make you a little healthier. According to a new study in the journal Emotion, sociologist Margie Kerr found that fear can actually bring many health benefits. Kerr measures people's responses before and after visiting a haunted house. As it turns out, these frightening moments decrease stress, improve moods, and increase confidence. For benefits, the key is to make fear fun and safe in a controlled environment. And y'all, this researcher also found out that fear had similar benefits to meditating. But I'd rather stick to yoga for my de-stressing. Thank you very much.
I think I'm with you on that one.
Me too.
Thanks, Tori.
Of course.
Up ahead on OU Nightly, a surprising performance in the NBA.
And Nash has a look at today's weather.
That's right, we had a cold front move through earlier this week. Another's on the way. I'll have your forecast coming right up. Welcome back to OU Nightly. Here's a live look at OKC on our Skyline Climb Up cam. Got a few clouds out there. It's a big difference from what we had this morning and afternoon. It was very dreary out here. Had a few sprinkles of rainfall as well, but right now temperatures are in the 60s with winds from the north at about 5 miles per hour. And that's really the case for across our entire state. We're looking at temperatures at 61 in Woodward, 61 in Lawton, and further to our east though, notice Miami's down to 51 and Idabel down to 54 degrees. The reason for that is we still do have a few pesky showers sticking around. They are expected to exit our state to the east into Missouri and Arkansas, but right now we're staying high and dry here in central Oklahoma. And if you're planning on heading out tonight, that's some good news because we will only be in the 40s, so you might want to have a jacket, but the winds will be from out of the south at about 5 to 15 miles per hour with no rain in the forecast. However, we do have a cold front on the way tomorrow. This should show up on our doorstep tomorrow morning around 7 a.m. and really not even bring us a chance of rain, only shift the winds and lower our temperatures just a little bit. Now, as we play this forward, surprise, surprise, we have yet another cold front on the way. This one a little bit stronger, as you can see here by these winds from the north. It will change our temperature quite a bit and also give us a decent chance of rain. However, we're only giving it about a 30% chance right now because it could set up right over us or further to the east. It's more of a situational case. Right now, we're looking at our 2-day forecast. We'll raise all the way up to 67 degrees by Saturday, and we will stay mainly dry, but after that cold front does come through, we're going to drop down into the 50s, kind of bounce around the upper 50s and lower 60s for the next few days before on Thursday we could drop all the way down into the lower 50s for a high. And guys, we are in the 40s for lows for the next several days, so it might be smart to have a jacket kind of on standby if you're heading out after dark.
It's definitely sweater weather now, I would say.
For sure.
Oh yeah.
Thank you, Nash. And Brooke Murski joins us now with more about what happened in the NBA Halloween night.
Coming up on OU Nightly Sports, we'll look at the big day in the NBA and find out how football practice today affects the rest of the season. Sports is straight ahead. breaking news, and no pun intended, senior running back Marcellus Sutton is out for the season with a broken leg. But anyways, the team heads to Lubbock this weekend to play Texas Tech. Back when the two teams met up in 2016, Mayfield and Mahomes put on a show. They played a record-breaking game with a combined total of 1,708 offensive yards. Mayfield broke an OU record with 7 touchdown passes and 545 yards. Mahomes broke an NCAA record with 819 yards of total offense, including 734 through the air. Now the two players will meet up again on Sunday when Kansas City plays Cleveland. And there's a blast from the past in Sooner Hoops too. Calday is here with more.
Hey Brooke, it's basketball time in Oklahoma, and the Sooners tip off tonight as they host the Pitt State Panthers in their only exhibition game of the season. Now for Sooners head coach Lon Kruger, it's probably a feeling of nostalgia as his first gig as a college coach was an assistant for the Panthers way back in 1976. Check out that unibrow there. Now back to this season, and the Sooners will boast one of the oldest rosters in the Big 12. Gone is Trae Young, and in are transfers Miles Reynolds and Aaron Calixte. The Sooners also return familiar faces Brady Manick and Christian James from a squad that won 18 games last year.
I like their commitment, like their focus. They're sharing the ball, making progress every day, anxious to see what we can transfer from practice to a live game situation tomorrow night. But that's why you do the exhibition games to get in front of people and see if we can do exactly that.
And Brooke, tip-off is set for 7 tonight at Lloyd Noble Center, and tickets are only $5. It's also your first shot to see the Sooners in their new Jumpman uniforms. Back to you.
Thanks, Cal. The Thunder heads to the East Coast tonight to face off against the Hornets. OKC is hoping to secure its 3rd consecutive win and first win on the road at that, after a slow start to the season. They're averaging 108.7 points a game, while the Hornets are averaging slightly higher at 115.5 points. Both teams look to extend their winning streaks in Charlotte tonight. And the UCF Knights are in action as they host the Temple Owls tonight in a pivotal conference game. The Knights, led by former Sooner QB and offensive coordinator Josh Heupel, have won 20 straight games. The Knights also checked in at 12 in the first batch of college football playoff rankings this week, the highest ranked group of 5 team. Back in the NBA last night, there was a big star, Derrick Rhodes. Rhodes scored a career-high 50 points against the Jazz, making it 7 years since its previous highest-scoring game of 47 points.
How great is his body control, the way that he's able to handle the basketball and get to where he wants to.
What does it mean to you, Derrick?
Everything, man. I work my ass off, bro. I wouldn't have did this for the franchise, the organization, the fans, everybody, man. I wouldn't be able to play the way I play, man.
He had a really good game last night. That's awesome to see him come back like
yeah,
that.
you know, last night I got a notification on my phone that said Derrick Rose scores 50 on Halloween night. I thought it was an anniversary of him scoring 50, and then I realized it was yesterday.
Yeah,
unbelievable performance from him. Thanks, Brooke.
Thank you.
Still to come on OU Nightly, we'll have another look at the 7-day forecast.
And stormy weather becomes cute. Straight ahead on OU Nightly.
I'm Kelsey Hovanetz, the OU Nightly Update Desk with the latest on Oklahoma Senator Jim Inhofe's support and plan for President Trump's $25 billion border wall. Inhofe's Wall Act included ways to pay for the wall, including requiring welfare applicants to verify citizenship and increasing the minimum fines for those who cross the border illegally. The bill strives to fully fund the border wall and is fully supported by President Trump. That's it for now. Back to you in the studio.
Thank you, Kelsey. Well, yesterday was Halloween. Sydney, did you wear a costume?
I did. I was a sailor, but my costume was nowhere near as cute as these kids' costumes. A photographer in Raleigh, North Carolina posted a video of his son's costumes on social media.
Yeah, they are dressed up as the Raleigh weather Doppler and a passing storm that it is detecting. Absolutely precious.
I wish I thought of that. And while that weather is very cute, I hope there are no storms this weekend in Lubbock. Nash, you have some more on that?
Yeah, great news with that. If you're heading down to Lubbock to watch OU take on the Red Raiders, not forecasting any rain for that game. Should be mostly clear, 60s at kickoff, dropping down into the 50s by the game's end. And that's not exactly the case here in Norman on Saturday. We do have a slight chance of rainfall at night. Meanwhile, we'll bounce around the upper 50s and lower 60s throughout the remaining week. And remember, guys, we have daylight saving on Saturday night into Sunday morning, so remember to spring back. That's about all I got for you here.
Thank you, Nash.
Thanks for the reminder. And thanks for watching OU Nightly, brought to you by the Gaylord College of Journalism and Mass Communication on the campus of the University of Oklahoma.
We'll see you back here tomorrow night live at 4:30.
Have a great evening.
Good night.